What's up, future millionaires? Billy Wilson here, and today in this video we're going to be covering why I do not read any books as an entrepreneur. And as you guys may know, Ty Lopez would probably highly disapprove of me, so let me explain why, because I get asked this question about every single week of people asking me, Billy, what books do you read? And to be honest with you guys, I don't read any books, and there's pretty much four main reasons why, so I want to cover those real quick in this video. And the first reason is because I feel like for a lot of people and for myself, it holds me back from taking action. Now, it's not necessarily books, it could be any kind of learning material, but at the beginning, especially for me, I was almost spending too much time learning and not spending enough time doing. And that learning aspect kind of gives your brain some dopamine, even though you're not really doing anything and you're not really actually making any progress in your life besides actually learning more. And about 70% to 80% of your time should actually be spent doing. I'll probably say more so 80% of your time should actually be spent doing the actions, and maybe 20% max learning and improving. So that's the number one reason why I personally don't read books. Then the second reason is not updated information. And especially for me as somebody that's in digital marketing, which is, in my opinion, like one of the fastest changing industries in the world, it's literally impossible to find a book on digital marketing that's not outdated, because I mean the entire process to create a book takes like a year at least, and by the time I get that book in my hands, that information is already completely outdated. So I need something that's going to be a lot fresher, a lot more updated, something that's going to be consistently updated. So that's why, as far as that goes, as far as that aspect of business goes, I can't really get that information online at all. And then the third reason is because, to be honest, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of times books are, as far as entrepreneurship and stuff like that, are fluffed out way too long, and they're too long for the main information that you could get out of them. And I know not every book is like this, and a lot of books have good point, but in my personal opinion, I feel like personally and from my experience, I could get the same amount of information from a video or some other kind of training source a lot faster, and get the main points out of that, the main things I need to learn out of that a lot faster than if I was to read an entire book and take some of the main learning points out of that. For some weird reason, I feel like in books they fluff it out and they spread out the information a lot more, and they'll tell a lot more stories, which I understand the point of telling stories and giving examples to understand how things work. But for me personally, as a fast learner, I find it a lot more efficient to actually get my new learning from different sources other than books. And this is the last and most important reason for me. And I want you guys to know, I'm not trying to bash books in this. It's obviously, and it's still an amazing learning material. And there's lots of things that you can't get outside of books that are pretty much in books, especially with older texts and things like that. There's nowhere else you can really learn them unless you're going to learn them from another person. And the main number one reason that I don't read books is because it's not my natural strength. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm not telling you don't read books in this video. I'm not saying that whatsoever, so don't think that I'm saying Billy doesn't want us to read books, I shouldn't read books. That's completely untrue. And I'm going to hit on the main thing that I wanted you guys to get and learn from this video. But before I get into that, the number one reason I don't read books is because, and pretty much the main reason, the other three reasons that I mentioned earlier aren't that important. They're just a little bit of my personal opinions. Those ones aren't that important, but this last one is the number one reason and the only reason that I don't read books personally. And it's because, for me, it's not my natural strength. And I learn a lot better in different forms. The one that I learn best is video form. So I do a vast majority of my learning through video, just because I'm better and I feel like I learn a lot faster. Ever since I was a kid, my reading comprehension was below average. I have no idea why. I guess I was just born that way. And obviously, yes, I can improve it. You guys could argue all the day that you want, but I'd rather personally focus on my strengths and focus on the learning methods that I enjoy. And I feel like, for me personally, the way that I found best to learn is through videos, especially like online video courses. That's been the number one way for me to learn, and the fastest way for me to learn. That's just from my personal experience. But the takeaway that I wanted you guys to get out of this video more than anything is you need to think for yourself, and you shouldn't be following my advice. You shouldn't be following Ty Lopez's advice. You shouldn't be following Gary Vee's advice. Now, you should take everyone's advice into account, but you shouldn't believe everything just because someone is successful. You shouldn't necessarily believe that what they're saying is true, because a vast majority of the time, even though most of you guys probably don't listen to Regular Society if you're watching this video, because you know that majority of the things that they tell you about life is completely wrong. But it's actually crazy that even the people that are really, really, really successful still say a lot of things wrong a lot of the time. And the only way that you can 100% know that something is true is to do your own research and do your own thinking, because a lot of times even the most successful people will believe things that are untrue. So that's the number one thing to take out of this video, is think for yourself and take everybody's advice with a grain of salt. And your life is completely different than anyone else's. So that's what kind of led me. If I was to follow the typical thing of pretty much every entrepreneur tells you starting out, you need to read as many books as possible. And if you don't read books, you're stupid and you're never gonna make any money. Well, I've built a 6-figure business without reading a single book. It's not because I don't wanna read books. I would wanna read books. It's just something that I'm not naturally that good at. And I learn better in other forms, and I believe other forms are faster. That's just my own opinion. You guys can have yours. I'm not saying books is a bad thing whatsoever. They're an amazing learning source. It's just that I personally don't use them. So the main takeaway from this video, guys, is think for yourself. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you just new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe with the notifications on if you want to learn about Facebook ads and starting a social media marketing business. But with that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Jump off the diving board into shallow water. Oh, this a risk that I really, really thought I gotta. I'm chasing M's, a million.